Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is News Channel Nebraska. My name's Eric McKay. Let's take a look at our top headlines today. Beginning with a global situation, the U.S. is watching closely major strikes in the Middle East by and against Israel. For weeks, the nation's been bracing for retaliation by Hezbollah, and they launched a large-scale attack overnight Sunday across the border into Israel, but not before Israel says it made some preemptive moves of its own. Tina Kim has the story.
Sunday, the Middle East witnessed a major exchange of rockets between Israel and not Hamas, but Hezbollah in Lebanon, which is one of the most powerful and well-armed groups backed by Iran. All as the U.S. tries to prevent the Israel-Hamas war from widening.
The last night was really worrisome. It's perhaps the biggest exchange we've had since the start of this conflict.
Since late July, Israel has been bracing for retaliation after the nation claimed responsibility for the assassination of Hezbollah's most senior military official, Fouad Shukr, in Lebanon's capital. Hezbollah said its launch of more than 300 rockets was completed, quote, meticulously.
We will assess the outcome of the enemy's concealment of today's events. If the result is satisfactory and it achieves the intended goal, we will consider the response process to the assassination of Fouad Shukr complete.
Hezbollah also denied claims by Israel that Israel Defense Forces thwarted Hezbollah's strike by striking first Sunday. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the military destroyed thousands of short-range rockets.
This morning, we detected Hezbollah's preparation to attack Israel. Together with the Minister of Defense and the Chief of Staff, we instructed the IDF to act proactively to remove the threat.
A U.S. defense official said that the U.S. helped Israel track incoming attacks. Hezbollah said this phase of the fighting is over, with Netanyahu saying this is not the end. I'm Tina Kim reporting.
Closer to home, an Iowa man on the sex offender registry faces new charges after authorities say he didn't tell anyone he'd moved to Nebraska. Brady Sitzman was arrested in the Woodland Park neighborhood of Norfolk over the weekend. That followed what the Stanton County Sheriff's Office says was a lengthy investigation into his residence. His address is listed as Hinton, Iowa on the Iowa Sex Offender Registry, but sheriff's officials in Nebraska say he's been living off and on in Woodland Park without registering that address. He was placed on the registry for a felony sex abuse conviction in Iowa in 2017. Nebraska's top auditor says the state corrections department is overspending by millions each year. In a report issued Monday, the Nebraska Auditor's Office said it found almost $4 million in savings annually by implementing some recommendations. Among those recommendations, enrolling new prisoners in Medicaid. The Auditor's Office says the state's overpaying for health care by millions that could be covered partially by the federal government. Another key piece of the puzzle is employee overtime. The auditor's report showed over 250 corrections workers logged over 500 hours of overtime last year, resulting in $58 million more spent on payroll than in 2021. The report also outlined what the office says is improper handling of inmate trust funds, potential overuse of inmate debit cards, and unnecessary paid leave being paid to employees. The U.S. housing market has been relatively frozen over the past year or so, but there appears to be a light at the end of the driveway, and that could mean an eventual rebound for the market. John Lawrence has more.
Home buyers in the U.S. may soon get a break from the increased mortgage rates that have been swirling around the housing market for roughly the past 2 years. First and foremost, the Federal Reserve is expected to drop interest rates next month.
The time has come for policy to adjust.
Also, mortgage financing giant Freddie Mac recently reported the regular 30-year fixed-rate mortgage has dropped to a low not seen in over a year. And new home sales rose more than 10% in July from June, according to the Census Bureau and the Department of Housing and Urban Development. However,
I see $400 going towards my student loans, and I see $545 going for HOA, and I see groceries averaging about $150 a week.
Affordability issues still exist for many Americans, from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to the state of Colorado.
the average home price in the Denver metro area, $600,000. Why? Because it's a great place to live. Why does it cost that much? Because we've artificially constrained the ability to build housing because of government interference.
Existing home prices in July were higher by more than 4% compared to 12 months prior, according to the National Association of Realtors, which means even with the loosening of the housing market, it could still take a while before some people are able to afford their own homes. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The fall semester underway on many college campuses around the country, and in some cases, enrollment is down. Some schools say an overhaul with the financial aid application process, known as FAFSA, caused major problems this year, and the ripple effect caused the enrollment drop. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona assuring parents and students the problems will be fixed. He says people can start applying for federal financial aid by December 1st for the 2026 school year. About 75% of nearly 400 private colleges and universities recently responded to a survey saying the FAFSA issues changed the makeup of this year's freshman class. Not only are the classes smaller, but the survey found the classes are less diverse than in years past. Rural health, something more important than ever, and one department in northeast Nebraska hopes their new facility will provide care its residents need. Luke Stera has more from Wayne.
Northeast Nebraska is growing, and the Northeast Nebraska Health Department is also outgrowing its facility.
We kind of looked everywhere and tried to find what was best for our health department.
After considering various options, the department decided to construct a new building on the west side of Wayne. The new facility will offer more office space, a new clinic area, and additional training and education rooms.
Well, I want to say it's like 2,000, 2,500 square feet versus now we're going to have 5,500 to 6,000. So
a little bit of an upgrade.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge upgrade.
The department currently serves 4 counties in northeast Nebraska: Thurston, Wayne, Cedar, and Dixon. The expansion is intended to meet the growing needs for various types of medical care in the area.
Educational programs and clinics for chronic disease services, so things like diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, access to mental health services, resources, things like that.
City officials in Wayne are optimistic about the potential for further development in the town.
We know that there'll likely be housing up to the north someday, filled in with commercial development here to the east and west, and then again to the north would be the housing.
With the expansion, Hupke hopes to add more staff to the department to better serve the community. Construction is set to begin next week, with completion expected by early 2025. Reporting for News Channel Nebraska, this is Luke Stera.
The Nebraska State Fair underway. When you think State Fair, you might think livestock or fair food or even concerts. But as Leroy Triggs reports, for some, the fair is all about fashion.
There were 3 4-H fashion shows. All had over 100 contestants and several categories. 4-H members had the opportunity to model clothing they bought or created. They walked down the runway and presented their attire to judges. For a few young participants, it was their first time and a learning experience.
I think that it was a great experience for everyone. All the girls did so great, and the boys obviously did great as well.
I learned that you just need to be confident and have fun.
The kids also get pointers before the show begins.
We actually have a rehearsal. That's what's going on right now. So they get to practice. We tell them how they should walk down the runway, what to do when they get on the runway, what to do when they get in front of the judges.
Contestants are scored on how they model, how does the clothing fit them, how it's constructed, straightness of the hem, stitching, and creativity. Out of over 100 contestants, there were 2 winners for Best in Show.
I had recently been looking at things like this because I needed some for interviewing and different business things that I go on, and I realized that I could definitely make it for a lot cheaper than just buying it, so that's what made me do it.
I went to go see the musical 6, and I saw all of the outfits, and the outfits were so cool. And so when I saw the pattern that had all the outfits on it, I knew I had to sew that this year.
Both winners say there's room for improvement before they defend their crowns next year. Reporting from Grand Island, Leroy Triggs, Local 4 News.
And finally, you can't quit your job yet. No jackpot winner in Friday night's Mega Millions drawing. That means the jackpot for tomorrow night growing to an estimated $575 million. No one's won that big prize since June 4th. In fact, only 2 people have won the Mega Millions this whole year. Compare that to last year, where by this time the jackpot had been hit 8 times. That doesn't mean the odds are any better, though. You still have less than a 1 in 300 million chance of winning. You can stay up to date with the very latest by following us online. Head to newschannelnebraska.com, click on the News tab there. You can also follow us on X, like us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. You're watching News Channel Nebraska.